This video is a response and to help some of you guys out who may have watched the Tony Northrup The Truth About Fujifilm video. And all I've got to say about it is if you watch this video, I want you to know one thing. This motherfucker is lying, dog. I'm going to break this thing down for you guys so you guys understand why Tony Northrup has this feeling, number one, why Tony Northrup made up these allegations, number two, and number three, why Tony Northrup skipped out on important things like the new BIS stack sensor, the new processing power, and the fact that GFX 50S Mark II is an entry-level medium format that is priced the same as a lot of these full-frame camera equivalents that have the similar basically specs as this camera, which makes it even more hilarious. So we'll continue into this, but dog, damn, bro, you stretched that one out, man. You a real one, Tony. You a real one. So first things first, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that it's this. I'm going to tell you why I'm qualified to make these assumptions about Tony Northrup and to make these comments. Number one is I shoot with Fujifilm full time now for all my professional work. Number two is because I have shot with both Canon mirrorless and DSLR and Sony mirrorless cameras, including the A7 II and A7 III, as well as Olympus, Panasonic, etc. I've shot with a lot of cameras for extensive time for professional work, not just for, hey, I had it for a day and I tested out. Tony Northrup and Chelsea Northrup, unfortunately, shout out Chelsea because she still goated a little bit, except for her Leica video was weird. But Tony and Chelsea Northrup test out these cameras and things like that for a couple days and then they send them back. They're not actual users, but they're allowed to because of the platform we've given them to be able to make assumptions and things like that and to give you ideas and to give you tips on something they know nothing about. The second thing I want to make note of that basically gives me the right to say what I'm about to say is I'm a better professional photographer than Tony Northrup. And I can confidently say that because I can actually catch decent and well lit and well composed and fantastic images on an APS-C camera, and Tony Northrup can't. Tony Northrup is continuing to say that he can't focus with the XT camera lineup, XH camera lineup, the X100 camera lineup. Him and Chelsea both struggle with that. They struggle with anything but full frame, and they struggle without eye autofocus. So because of that, I can automatically tell you I'm a way better photographer than Tony and Chelsea Northrup. Maybe whenever they dropped the art of stunning digital photography, they were really decent, but as of recently, they're not good photographers. They're not decent photographers, and they don't really know much about basically how to control ISO, shutter speed, or anything. They just know about bokeh. And if all you know about is bokeh, you're going to struggle. So Tony and Chelsea Northrup, unfortunately, they're not really good photographers. They're not even really professional photographers. They're just YouTubers who do wildlife birding and stuff like that for fun, and they get to go travel. They're not that great at much else, and that's proven because they can't shoot an APS-C. And as you guys know, if you can't be professional with the gear you have, whether it's a kit lens or an APS-C camera, Micro Four Thirds, whatever, then you aren't professional with any camera brand whatsoever. So the first thing I'm going to hit up is this. Tony Northrup immediately brought up how mediocre the XT30 Mark II was, the XT3WW was, and as well as the GFX 50S2 was. Now, here's the thing that he did. He kind of brushed them off as these mediocre things, and this was their big announcement. September 2nd was not their big announcement. Their big announcement for a camera body is going to come in Q1 of 2022, which is what they hinted to, which he refused to bring up. The fact that there's going to be a 40 megapixel stacked backside illuminated sensor developed that is going to be X-Trans for the Fujifilm system. That's a pretty big deal considering that Fujifilm is the only manufacturer that actually puts all their money into APS-C bodies, which is why it's able to get similar performance to a lot of these full frame bodies. For example, Tony Northrup made excuses for Canon's EOS R whenever it first came out and the Canon EOS RP and said it was a great option for people to get in. You get this amazing Canon glass, etc., etc. Fujifilm at that time was miles ahead and is still miles ahead of that camera offering. Now, Fujifilm catching up with the sensor technology and the processing technology, Tony decided to skip that as well as skip the idea and the thought of a new processor because he wants you to think the XT30 Mark II, the GFX 50S Mark II, and of course the XT3WW, which I guess is a weather resistant or whatever in the world it is, cameras are their big announcement. They're not. They're incremental updates. By the way, Tony Northrup praised whenever Sony released the A7R4A or the A7 IIIA, which is basically just an upgrade of the back LCD. He kind of shit on the XT30 for having a new LCD. Oh, and it got a new algorithm and it got a new processor. The new processor and new algorithm are a really big deal, Tony, which is very funny considering someone who doesn't shoot Fujifilm and who doesn't get the love from Fujifilm that they think they deserve. You decide to shit on it because you don't know how to work a camera that doesn't do the work for you. Another thing that he brought up, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way, is Tony Northrup talked about how pharmaceuticals, etc., that's the direction Fujifilm was going to be going. And let me break something to all of you on the internet. Every single camera company gets majority of their money from not just their camera company, but from the total sum of all the other divisions they're in, whether it's Canon, whether it's Sony, whether it's Panasonic, whether it's Fujifilm. All of these companies, even with Nikon, they are into other things like pharmaceutical and whether it be healthcare, whatever, imaging. Fujifilm is not the only one, and it's kind of smart for Fujifilm to say, hey, you know what, this is going to be our bread and butter going forward, because guess what? You can make a shit ton of money in pharmaceuticals. I mean, literally, Kodak is developing, what got a grant for developing vaccines and developing any kind of drugs and things like that, pharmaceuticals. Kodak got a grant for that. You can't really blame someone for that. And honestly, there's no correlation between that and the cameras, because again, Tony Northrup lied to y'all. He tried to sun y'all and basically told you that the only cameras being released and ignoring Fujifilm's roadmap. Not only did he ignore the new lenses that came out, they can resolve images around 40 megapixels, way cleaner, and are built for that. His ass ignored the fact that there was an announcement at the end about a new sensor, and he would not go into detail about that. He would not bring it up. He would not go into depth. This man dead ass wanted you to think this is all that Fujifilm brought out to the party, and this is all they're going to do. Was you're going to get an X-T30 Mark II, an X-T3 update, and that you're going to get a GFX 50S2. But let's continue. The other thing that Tony really tried to harp on was the fact that, oh, the GFX 50S Mark II has contrast detect autofocus. Again, Tony Northrup, not being that good a photographer, struggles with contrast detect autofocus for the simple reason as this. He can't get focus unless he has eye autofocus. Tony Northrup does not know how to work single point autofocus, moving the point over an eye. He's just someone who's a product of being able to shoot on auto and having the money from his other endeavors to be able to purchase studio equipment, nice flashes, and fast lenses. Again, why do you think he harps on all the time bokeh, that creamy bokeh? Because when you're not that great at technically setting up a shot, and you're not that great at doing things indoors and setting up environments, you have to rely on the bokeh, you have to rely on the external things such as flashes, and you have to rely on the money for your production. Because Tony and Chelsea Northrup are the Fox and the CNN of basically, you know, everything. They're propaganda. They are not only going off of what they think is going to be their meal ticket, because we know that their Sony and their Canon videos get more views and get more love than anything else, which is why they continue to press out the Sony and Canon love. It's not to help you out. It's because they want people, they know that people are looking to feel justified in their purchases. But the thing is, Tony and Chelsea Northrup will always do clickbait. They are always going to be clickbait people. Tony more than Chelsea. Tony is a clickbait master. He knows for a fact that if he can get you to click through, it does not matter the content, and that he can lie like in the video he just made, and that he can embellish, and that he can talk a whole bunch of bullshit, that it doesn't matter. As long as he's getting the clicks and people are watching, he's making money and revenue off it. Listen, it just goes down to the same phrase. You can make a dog dance 10 ways, but in the end, it's still a bitch. And in the end, it is what it is with Tony Northrup. He talked about how video is more important now, and Fujifilm's falling back in the way of that. And I'm still wondering where. Fujifilm has the record times for it. They're updating everything. They have great focusing whenever it comes to their video. They're really on par with Canon. So again, I am still not sure what he's talking about. You have the 10-bit 422. You have the being able to export it. You now have RAW capability, the GFX 50S2. Again, he harped on the fact that GFX 50S2 only did 1080-30 as a medium format body. He is judging a medium format because I want to know, you guys can put down below, and Tony, you can answer this. Talk to me about the record limits and the record capabilities of Sony and Canon's medium format. I'll give you some time. You guys, if you don't know this, you can actually look up Sony and Canon's medium format, and you can tell me if their specs are better than Fujifilm's. Because I'm telling you right now, their medium format cameras and their large format cameras have at least Actually, oh wait, they don't have any. They don't have any. They don't have any. Again, a guy who cries about sensor size mattering more than anything will do anything to defend the fact that his sensor size is fine at full frame. And this just goes back to me thinking about how he shit on Sony so much whenever they were a mirrorless camera company and they were starting off. I remember he made all the videos about mirrorless will never take over DSLR. Can you use mirrorless for professional work? Will mirrorless autofocus ever be as good as DSLR autofocus? Another thing that he talked about is the fact that, hey, the price, the price you're paying and the size, it's minimal now. Like the benefit, it's worn off because everyone's mirrorless. And if you look at the price of all of Fujifilm's cameras and the lenses versus Canon, Nikon, Panasonic, Leica, Sony, there is still a benefit to shooting Fujifilm. A huge benefit to shooting Fujifilm. Even more so, I will say this, the benefit of full frame with what they're able to do as far as a better image quality, that is actually the gap that's been wiped out. Because you got to think about it. You have a A6000 lineup from Fujifilm that everyone loves that hasn't gotten a sensor update in how long? But you have Fujifilm who 3 years ago released a new sensor and now they're going to release a new one. And in that time, Sony has had an A6000 since maybe like what, 2014, 2015, and all the way in 7 years they've not updated their sensor once. Why? Because Fujifilm puts all their money into their APS-C lineup and Sony does not. So you're gonna cry and you're gonna tell me the APS-C can't do what full frame can because you're not testing an actual APS-C camera that is built to be professional in the APS-C system. You guys don't know anything, and I hate to say it, but it is true. You guys don't know shit. So the next thing to bring up is the fact that Tony was arguing that, okay, Fujifilm isn't updating anything. They're not updating. And again, I had someone send me this video and they said the exact same thing. Yeah, Fujifilm doesn't update anything. They don't bring up updates, and updating their systems isn't something they do for their fans. That's a damn lie. You have to think about it. When the X-T4 came out, did Fujifilm make sure the X-T4 was miles above everyone else when it comes to processing and it comes to autofocus? No, they actually sent out an update from the X-T2 and cameras around with the X-Trans 3 sensor all the way forward to where the X-T3 had similar autofocus, the X-E3 got great autofocus jump, the X-H1 got amazing autofocus jump, and the X-T2 got fantastic autofocus jump. They are developing firmware updates for each one of these cameras when they come out with a new algorithm and giving it to us so that we can do things like have greater record limits and be able to have greater autofocus, including the autofocus that everyone relies on, including Tony, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if it didn't have an eye if he shot on Sony. So again, I'm not understanding where the lie comes from that there's no development for it and no one's getting a software update. Because again, if you shot with Fujifilm, you would know there was a software update instead of using it for a week, sending it back and pretending like you knew what the you're talking about. And now we come with the GFX and the X lineup. He made it sound like there's no X lineup past 2020 and 2021. Again, he ignored the whole new sensor stack and the fact that Fuji Rumors and everyone else has been saying the XH2 is around the corner and the fact that there might be two XH2 bodies. He's ignoring the whole damn thing. He's ignoring the fact that in Fuji's roadmap, it's rumored to be that there's going to be a second camera at the end of 2022 in Q4, which a lot of people are thinking it could be the X-T5. He's ignoring the things that Fuji is purposely telling you because he doesn't want you to go and look it up yourself, because he's what? He's propaganda. He's clickbait. This is some hoe shit, dog. Seriously, you used to be an all-star. You're not an all-star anymore. He's literally talking about medium format. It's bad. Medium format is bad. It's a horrible idea because they're going full frame pricing. There's no flippy outie screen. He dead ass has a slide that says no flippy outie screen. He's even saying that, oh, you know what? The medium format's now shifting from stills to video. No, it's not. It's not. It's a stills camera. This is literally a professional stills camera. Now, someone who's not a professional, I understand that you don't understand exactly what this camera's for, because this camera isn't for a hobbyist like you, Tony. Through everything that he mentioned, Tony lied, and he knew he was lying. And again, the reason why he knows he's lying is because people don't check Tony Northrup. People don't check him, and when people check him, Tony Northrup does the what's his name? The little guy who talks and is a media pundit right now for policies. I forgot his name. Ben Shapiro. Tony Northrup pulls a Ben Shapiro anytime someone calls him out. Well, whenever it comes to basically what you're saying, it makes no sense. And honestly, whenever you get upset, facts don't care about your feelings. I obviously am the one who's in control of the situation because I'm not getting upset. Now, it doesn't matter if it's Jared Pohl, it doesn't matter if it's Angry Photographer, it doesn't matter who it is. When people call out Tony, he acts like he's the victim, and he acts like all he did was try to inform people and that all of his information was correct. It's not correct. Tony actually lied about a lot of this stuff. He embellished and he left out truths, and half-truths are still a lie. And again, like I said, you can make a dog dance 10 different ways, but at the end of the day, it's still a bitch. That's what's really happening right here. Tony can disguise himself and make himself seem like, he's all this and all that, and he has all this information, but Tony Northrup literally lied for 18 minutes on a video about everything that happened at the Fujifilm's announcement, and he even lied even more about where they're going in the future. Again, Tony Northrup is clickbait. He's not a photographer. He's not someone who's a professional. He's just a guy who makes camera things, and because he has a whole bunch of wealth, he's able to not only buy these things and do reviews, but now through avenue of YouTube and having, a fame to claim because he's one of the bigger channels on YouTube, he's able to get more and more companies to send him things so that he can lie about what he's feeling and how he views them. So it is what it is. We built this monster. We built this beast. I told you guys I used to love Tony and Chelsea Northrup because they helped me learn whenever I first moved over from film to DSLR. But at the same time, the guy just lies. The guy just makes up shit. And it's really unfortunate because he doesn't have to make up shit to get clicks, but he does have to make up shit to get money and to get the amount of clicks that he wants. So there's nothing behind it. The guy's not a professional. He's not that great of a photographer. He can't do anything on APS-C cameras. And to be honest, it doesn't matter how good the XH2 is. Tony's gonna say some shit about it because it doesn't make him money to be positive about these cameras, except for Sony. Because whether it's Gerald Undone, whether it's Josh Yo, or whether it's Manny Ortiz, whether it's Tony and Chelsea Northrup, whether it's Jared Poland, they have all said on multiple times the videos that get the most engagement are the videos that have Sony in the name and are Sony lenses and Sony body reviews, because that's what everyone is moving towards because the eye autofocus and the reliance on that. So because of that, Tony's not going to mess up with his cash cow, but it is important that the guy's full of shit.
This was clearly lying.
That's it. That's all I have. I just thought you should know. He lied throughout the whole 18-minute video. That's it. That's all I have. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tony, if you're watching this, do better, bro. Or maybe you should take my course called The Art of Not Lying About Stunning Digital Photography. Have a good one.